Meanwhile, the Texas House is set to reconvene today amid a redistricting standoff. Not restricting. Is it supposed to be restricting? Okay, sorry, redistricting. It failed to reach a quorum for the third time on Friday, even after state Republicans moved to arrest Democratic lawmakers who fled the state to block a vote on the GOP-backed redistricting maps. Senator Bernie Sanders has urged Democrats to fight back in an interview he gave on CNN Watch.
We are taking Trumpism kind of as normal. Trump is the one who came up with the idea. He says, let's see, Texas, I think we can get 5 more seats. Do it. Oh, yes, yes, sir. You're the great leader. We will do it. And they're often trying to do it. So everybody knows what's going on. It is undemocratic. It is outrageous.
All right, I want to bring in CBS News election law expert and political contributor David Becker. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. David, it's always good to see you. So before we even sort of jump into what Senator Sanders said, I just want you to sort of give us a macro view of this. I mean, Republicans are doing it now, but Democrats are just as guilty of doing this in other states and in years past. Am I right about that?
Yeah, good morning, Vlad. Extreme gerrymandering for partisan purposes is not just a Republican thing or a Democratic thing. It's been done by both parties for a long time, and the Supreme Court has expressed concern about it, but said they can't do anything about it. What's different here is that mid-decade voluntary redistricting of the kind Texas is doing is extremely rare. Really, the only other time in recent memory was Texas doing this about 2 decades before. We should remember how we got here. The Texas Republican legislature wrote and drew these maps at the beginning of the decade. And these are maps they themselves drew, and they are doing this for partisan purposes to gain partisan advantage in a very narrowly divided House. And now Democratic states are thinking of playing tit for tat with that and trying to net out the number of seats they need to perhaps take control of the House. And in the middle of all this, the voters, who might not know which district they're in, who might not know who their representative is this next time around. And it's going to be very difficult to navigate this if we start moving from once every 10 years to once every 2 years, trying to gain that narrow advantage.
Yeah, so game this out for me. If both parties start doing this in midterm, what does it look like in, let's say, a decade? I'm trying to sort of figure out what I see what the immediate need and purpose is, but what does it look like, a few years down the road?
Well, I think what it looks like is we go from once a decade going through this enormous amount of work. It's not just drawing the lines. It's the election officials having to re-precinct, draw new precinct boundaries, to code voters for receiving a particular kind of ballot, finding new polling places as a result of the new lines. That was a lot of work, but it was manageable once every 10 years. Now we're looking at possibly doing it once every 2 years to get 1 or 2 seats advantage in a very narrowly divided House. And what the Democrats are saying now is, regardless of what they've decided to do in some states like California to have a fair, independent redistricting commission, they're not going to play that game anymore. They're going to do tit for tat, and there's going to be mutually assured destruction in this arms race until both parties can get together and say, we can't be playing these games with the voters anymore and with the people's House.
So, David, finally, Senator Sanders is not a Democrat or a Republican. He's an independent. So he calls this undemocratic. What do you think?
Well, again, I mean, the People's House, the House of Representatives under Article 1 of the Constitution, was supposed to represent the people of the United States proportionate to their population, which is why we have districts drawn in states, and different states have different numbers of representatives, unlike the United States Senate. And it was so the people could petition their members of the House if they had a problem. And incumbent upon that is kind of knowing who your House member is and knowing which district you live in. And right now, the people are the pawns. They are just being moved around to get to that magic number of 218. And so ultimately, the parties are going to have to come together and decide this is no longer sustainable. This is not serving our constituents. There are going to be Republican members in blue states who lose their seats. There are going to be Democratic members in red states who lose their seats. And we also have to remember, Texas, although it's a red state, 43% of it voted for Vice President Harris. California, though it's a blue state, about 40% of California voted for President Trump. So these are not monolithic states, and people deserve representation.
Such an excellent point that whilst it is the people's House, the people are pawns in this game of brinksmanship between these two parties, and as far as the voters are concerned, they don't win, only the politicians win, as usual. David Becker with some interesting perspective. Always great to have you on, my friend. Thank you.